Oh my gosh, it can actually hit stuff.
So, a lot of you probably don't realize this, but the NERF Galactic Commander may be the only new NERF blaster released in 2025. Every single other NERF blaster is like a reshell or derivative of something that already exists with very minor changes. Same internals, same everything. So it goes without saying that I'm really hoping this one's good. Retailing at $50 and hopefully landing on store shelves soon, the NERF N-Series Loadout Galactic Commander is a flywheel select fire blaster with its 3 firing modes. You get 5 attachments, you get 48 darts, and you get quite a lot of blaster in this weird Galactic Commander skin, which is awkward because nothing else really even matches it. And that skin even boils over into the attachment, which means most of these attachments will never fit the color scheme of any other blaster NERF will ever release, unless of course those blasters have the Galactic Commander skin on them. I find this incredibly silly. Although I do want to thank NERF for being good sports and sending this thing out to me for a video. They didn't pay me or anything, so my opinions are completely my own. And even more interesting is that this blaster is allegedly a collaboration with Overwatch 2. I have a feeling the blaster came before the collaboration. Not that I would know, because as of me filming this video, the collaboration's already over. I got it after the collaboration ended. In fact, they sent me some codes, which I was thinking, hey, that'll be cool to live stream on Saturday, and I don't even know if those codes will work because the collaboration ended. 1,000 customizable loadout blaster combinations. It still only shows the Shadow Speed Recon and the Galactic Commander, although the attachments show other blasters that have not released yet. But we do get a motorized blaster. We do get 2 18 dart clips, which I should point out that as of this video, you cannot buy these magazines separately. At least you do get 2 of them, and for a $50 blaster, that's actually pretty decent from NERF. You get a barrel attachment, you get a scope, and you do get a stock that will hold your spare mag. And these look to be the exact same mags that the Sprinter and the Pinpoint use in the N-Series line. And it does feature semi-auto, burst fire, and full auto for $50. This makes it the cheapest select fire NERF blaster I have seen on store shelves ever. That is cool. That is actually awesome. I really hope this enthusiasm keeps up. The actual requirements for this blaster to be good are so low. I am actually only hoping to have fun with this. If I can have fun with this blaster, it may be worth picking up. Keep in mind, this is an ages 8 and up blaster. It's meant for younger children. So unlike your Pro Series stuff, it's not gonna hit as hard. But it is a flywheel blaster, so there might be modification potential. Flywheelers are usually pretty easy to modify. The closest comparison would be something like the NERF Modulus Regulator, but that was a belt-driven blaster, and this one is, not. Rabbit Tank Best Match. Are you ready? Ready?
俺ってバカ。
It's got some chunk to it. And I guess we have to get out the attachments. Not that I really care all that much. Ah, yes, so much for plastic-free packaging. You do get the blaster itself, a scope attachment, a stock attachment, a barrel attachment, 2 18 dart magazines, reading and or wiping material, and 48 N-Series darts. And yes, this is an N-Series blaster. It is only compatible with NERF N-Series N1 darts. Exploring the blaster, we do have a muzzle attachment right here. It is an N-Series attachment, so it only works with N-Series barrels. We've got a nice textured molded foregrip area right there with a rail located just underneath that. Another NERF tactical rail up here. Sling point, possible whole big sling point right here. NERF Elite tactical stock attachment point, so this will work with your NERF Elite style stocks, modulus, and all that kind of stuff. We've got our main grip right here, which has a rev trigger for revving up the flywheels and a firing trigger. Big old paddle mag release right here. And of course, we got this big long grip guard right here. And we do have our magazine well right here, which our magazine will load into. And on the left side of the blaster, we do have a jam clearing door. The painted decaling is on both sides of the blaster, although it's not on any of these spaces on the top and bottom. And your fire mode selection wheel is only located on the right-hand side of the blaster, so you will have to manipulate that like so. You got kind of a dial right there that shows you what mode you're in, and there's a satisfying click. It is a little bit more than awkward though. Totally doable. Left-handed, you're kind of screwed. You're gonna have to use your offhand. When we add on our barrel attachment, we do unlock 3 new rail attachment points. Tactical rail, and tactical rail. Otherwise, it's just a cosmetic addition for your blaster. There's a hollow tube with a physical plastic reticle in it. There's no zoom, magnification, nothing, not even a plastic lens, but It does go on like so. Unfortunately, that means it's not going to be very useful for target acquisition. And our stock here has a release button up at the top of it. Otherwise, clips onto the blaster like so, locks into place, press the button, you can remove it. And it does fit in a spare magazine, pretty loosely, although I doubt it's gonna fall out while you're playing. And this is the whole Galactic Commander in all of its glory. Battery tray is located on the left side of the blaster behind one Phillips head screw, and it takes 6 AA batteries. With it fully loaded up with batteries, let's see what the rev times are like. Little warbly, but not bad. Now let's see what the fire rate is like, starting at full auto. That's really good for a stock Nerf blaster. I want to see what the rate of fire is like on the 3-shot burst mode and what the trigger response is like. And as per usual, there's just not enough juice there, so unfortunately it is a little delayed. The actual fire rate's not terrible, but there is a significant delay between trigger pulls. But let's see what it's like on semi-auto. It's usable. Honestly, this is pretty good, far better than I actually expected, but it still leaves a lot of room for improvement. Speaking of improvement, I guess we'll have to open it up and see what it's like inside and if it has any actual upgrade path whatsoever. These are the same type of cassette-style magazines that the N-Series Pinpoint and Sprinter use, which again, you can't buy separately right now, but I do really like how these load. Plastic quality-wise, it is a little bit thinner than I'm used to with Nerf. It does not feel as nearly as bad as the Shadow Speed Recon. That being said, it's also a flywheeler, so even if it did, that's just weight reduction. We don't need to worry about this thing flexing when we're using it because it's electronic. All right, semi-auto maximum velocity. That's pretty okay. It's not bad at all. 3-shot burst. This is my favorite, by the way. Oh, we're already out. Tactical reload. The motors do get pretty bogged down on the 3-shot burst, but it's still really fun. I do like me a 3-shot burst. Let's go with full auto. Yeah, those 6 AAs are doing as much as they can to keep that fire rate up. And just like that, 36 darts gone. We do have some left over, but not nearly enough to load our mags a second time. And I did miss this because I'm not used to looking out for it, but this does have the grip-mounted stock attachment point that N-Series now includes. The length of pull is actually pretty good. This thing is remarkably comfortable to use. Ergonomically, the Galactic Commander does get a pass from me. All right, Freddy, full auto. .4 rounds per minute, which is this amount per second. Measuring the velocity of the NERF Galactic Commander over my chronograph, I got an average of 88.6 feet per second, which is on par for the rest of the N-Series line. And testing the practical range outside, I got around with flat shots 50 feet on average, and I could get about 75 feet with a pretty decent angle, which is again fairly standard for the N-Series line. Accuracy is where things get a little bit more interesting. While I did have plenty of shots that went randomly off target because the dart just wasn't stable in flight, I had a majority of my shots actually go fairly straight and true. On average, I was actually able to hit the thing I was modestly aiming at, which is more than I can say for the rest of the N-Series blasters I have tested thus far. Meaning, yes, the NERF Galactic Commander is actually usable in a NERF battle. Before we get into my actual opinions here, I do want to point out that for $50, you do get quite a bit with this blaster. While Dart Zone has released their Omnia 1 and 2, kind of like trying to clearance them out at $50 and below, the original prices of those were like $90. This is $50 off store shelves and will go on discount in the future, so you'll be able to find it for even less. But is it actually any good? Well, it is entirely, actually, yeah, I actually like this blaster. I think it's pretty darn good, especially for the price they're asking here. The most important thing is that it's just fun. You get the attachments, you get a blaster. I'm not a huge fan of the blaster shape or anything, but the ergonomics are perfectly fine. Select fire is super fun, and with the destabilization of the N1 darts, because they're not super consistently accurate, the burst fire feels like a shotgun, and that's pretty cool. It's also incredibly easy to control your fire rate on the full auto, so if you only wanted to tap off one shot, you can very consistently. But with the Galactic Commander, it's actually about the little things too. This stock is intelligently designed because when you load a magazine into it, you can see the top is open and the darts are still fully protected, but that also means that you can very easily pick up spare darts and just load them in the top of your magazine like so, which is an incredible design from Hasbro. You know, call out the good when it's good. There are some nitpicks, but again, remember it's a $50 MSRP blaster. Starting off with the firing delay. So if you're using the semi-auto, there is quite a bit of delay. You can use it, it's just annoying that it exists, and it does seem to get worse on something like burst fire. And there is some oversampling you can do with the trigger if you're trying to rattle off shots, and the worst thing that happens is when you pull the trigger and there is no dart coming out because it still has to actually cycle the blaster before it will take the next shot command. But it could be a lot worse, and it is definitely usable. And while I'm not a huge fan of the overall design and aesthetic, I do think there will be fans of this design and aesthetic. It doesn't pistol down very much, to be perfectly honest. This is still a massive sunfish of a blaster, but it also feels good. It's just huge and menacing, so even when it's pared down to its minimum, it's nice. I don't find much value from this attachment, especially with the side-mounted rails, which there's not a whole lot to use right there yet, but this stock is ace. This is a really good one. I appreciate the fact the blaster came with 2 magazines. Again, for $50, that's not too bad, but I want to point out once again that as of this video, you cannot buy these separate. So the 2 magazines, and if you have a Sprinter and a Pinpoint, you can use those magazines as well. However, that is mitigated by the fact that you can top these magazines up when they're in the stock and scavenge ammo, so maybe that's not a big deal. And opening the blaster up, which is incredibly easy by the way, there's not a whole lot here that can go wrong. All right, let's just crack her open and see what we're dealing with. It might actually be interesting inside. You have a little bit more going on here. I don't see a board yet, but I do see a kind of sideways rapid strike style pusher that is geared, which is super cool. We've got a bigger motor than the 130s we're used to, and then we do have the standard 130s for the flywheel cage. That cage geometry looks pretty familiar. I wouldn't be surprised if that is actually an old style thing, but we still have to kind of like take this out. And there is, aha, there we go. So there's all of the internals. It is in one thing, which is cool, which is mounted to the select fire switch. And this is the entire brains of our operation here. It's really not a whole lot. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure exactly what components we have on here, but that is a remarkably simple board. And that's pretty much everything. This is your entire electronic. I mean, obviously we've got the flywheel cage up here, but this is a select fire full auto grip. You could definitely put this in another shell and it would be remarkably easy, and I mean, it almost even has the magwell on it. I kind of wish Hasbro would have made the magwell part of this, so it's like this was the whole blaster and they just put a different shell around it. If we could get a little bit higher rate of fire and less delay on trigger pull, that would be awesome, but it's probably all pre-calculated from the factory. That doesn't mean that the board will take any kind of battery upgrade. That's always the biggest problem with these. You want a stronger battery because that's more voltage, that's more power, that means faster rate of fire. It looks like the pusher motor is bigger than like a 130 size that we typically get with flywheelers, so it should be considerably more torquey, which means it could have a really good rate of fire and trigger response time. And this also means it might not be hard to make an aftermarket board for this thing that could truly unlock its potential. And of course, it shouldn't be too difficult difficult at all to convert the Galactic Commander to shoot a different type of ammo other than the N1 series dart. But is it really worth doing all these kinds of upgrades and stuff if you don't like the shell and you want these kinds of features on a half-dart existing blaster? Well, the Omnia and everything already exists, and it's about the same price as this unless you want to get the newer Omnia Gen 3, which apparently has everything fixed, but I don't know because I've never gotten my hands on one. So is it worth the time and money investment? Probably not unless you really like this shell. But overall, even at the standard price, there is quite a bit to like here. And for the more casual Nerfer out there, I think this is an excellent pick. It's basically the only Nerf blaster in 2025, and it's thankfully a pretty decent one at that. There are some improvements I'd like to see in the future from Hasbro if they ever revisit this design. This dial should be ambidextrous. It should be on the other side as well. I feel like that's a huge miss point. I understand the internals kind of go through there and make it a little cumbersome to do that, but really, it should have been done. I also wish that Hasbro, if they use these kinds of board designs, would make an effort to kind of make them more friendly to a battery upgrade in the future without jumping through a lot of hoops. I know they don't have to or anything like that, but it would be nice to see because there are people who are gonna wanna kick this thing up a notch, and it would be nice to throw them a bone so it would be easier for them to do that and get more fun out of their product. And if you're gonna do a line like this where you're gonna have specific attachments for a blaster and stuff like that, I really wish you wouldn't put, like, I know you guys are big on the whole painting the blaster, and I'm really glad that you did it on both sides, but I'm not going to be able to put this on any other N-Series blaster and have it match unless it also is running the Galactic Commander skin. It's just going to kind of make my blaster look like a clown car. That's why I think these attachments should be a pretty standard uniform color scheme. That's kind of why we like the Elite series or the Modulus series, because all the attachments fit the color scheme of every blaster that comes out in that line. So we do have a standard rapid strike pusher system with select fire, which is really cool to see. Overall, I give the NERF N-Series Loadout Galactic Commander a B grade. Most people are probably going to appreciate this blaster, and it does everything it sets out to do very well. It's just a real shame that thus far this year, the Galactic Commander is the only new Nerf blaster, and we're already in August, so there's a good chance this is the only new Nerf blaster for 2025. Hasbro, step it up, senpai.